Yo, what's the deal, bro? How you doing?
Dog, what's good, dog?
I'm doing all right, man. I'm
Uh,
doing all right. How everything on your end? You sound irritated. What's going on?
dog, I can't, bro. Listen, bro. Listen, like this is insane. This is insane. First, a couple things, man, and I
Okay.
hate to just jump right into it. I hate to jump right into it.
Nah,
But
that's
the
fine.
Herb
Let's talk
Jones
about
talk
it.
gotta stop, bro.
In what sense? In what sense do you mean?
The plus minus in comparison to watching the games and the game by game stats are just insane. Like it's just insane. Like if anybody watches the games, we know Herb Jones been awful all season. Awful. Like absolutely awful. But hey, the plus, he's got the highest plus minus on the team. So it's obviously he's impacting winning. I'm sorry, what? Are we not watching the same games?
What,
That
what do you what do you think that's based on? You think it's a situation where his reputation precedes him, or
bruh.
maybe people just like him individually?
I think they like him individually. Herb Jones is the chosen child. And it's like I understand that the star player is supposed to get a lot of the you know what, bro? I don't even want to go to the star player route because it's easy to talk about the star players, right? And I understand they supposed to receive most of the blame and criticism. I 1000% get that. But we can't overly criticize the star players or like point out the limitations in the star players game. Literally have a guy that's like what what does he do offensively that's productive and not talk about him at all? So like as much as you want to talk about Zion can't go right and Zion can't do Zion still giving you 20 something a game. Oh well, let's talk about the money. It's like, well, all right. Herb Jones for the money is awful. I don't
So
care what nobody say. Even at 14 million, Herb Jones is awful. Absolutely awful. I done had enough, bro. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
So,
I'm
so
sorry.
what exactly are people claiming? Like, aside from, like, look, we spoke about this before, about the, which I think is the dumbest stat ever. Where people try to say, oh well, since the Pelicans are 10-6 since he returned to the lineup. Or it's like, well, how come you ain't talking about that no more? Like, how come we
Bruh.
not we not? How come we not spewing that data point anymore? But what exactly are people saying that's like annoying you aside from the plus minus?
The plus minus is really pissing the plus. First off, the plus minus pissing me off, and just this the negligence to acknowledge like what he does to the offense, like his impact on the offensive side of the ball, or like his negative impact on the offensive side of the ball is really frustrating to me. It's like, okay, if you're gonna say Herb Jones, because again, it's like, well, you comparing Herb Jones to a star. It's like, no, I'm not comparing him to no motherfucking star. I'm comparing him to a dude that's a consistent starter playing 30 minutes or 30 plus minutes a night on your team that shoots 30% from the field, like 30% from three, 38% from the field. You can't rebound, you don't get assists, you don't get to the line, they don't guard you. Like what I'm sorry, but we can't bring this player off the bench. If he's truly a role player, why can't he be benched? Why? Like, I just don't understand like the protection for Herb Jones, and then you keep throwing out plus minus. It's like, well, the team is better when Herb Jones is there. It was like, well, yeah, fuck, the team is better when Zion's there too. The team is better. Like, that's a dumb thing to say to me. I'm sorry.
To me, there's really no real way to say that the team is better when X player plays this year because they've been fucking terrible. Like, you know what I'm saying? So
They awful. They
that,
not good no matter who there. No matter who there, no matter who not there. It's like, I'm sorry, bro. I'm sorry to cut you off. I'm
there you go.
sorry to
There
cut
you go.
I'm sorry to cut you off. But it's like, yeah, when Herb Jones plays, it's like, bro, they got 25 wins. It don't matter who plays, they suck. It's like, well, they even worse when he don't play. It's like, well, Trey Murphy don't play, and I ain't seen him got a like Trey Murphy been out how many games recently? Like the last what 3 games, something like that.
Yeah, I believe he missed the last
I,
three, if I'm not mistaken.
I'm sure all of those are losses. I guarantee you they probably don't win, but they'd have a better opportunity to win those games if he played. Similarly with DeJounte, similarly with Zion, it's like so the point that's being made is just like an awful point. It's like, well, they better when Herb Jones is there. It's like, well, duh, fuck, you gonna play him 30 minutes a night. I would hope what he does defensively, because it damn sure ain't offensively. Man, I don't know how we gonna live without his 30% shooting from three a night. Like, I just don't know how we gonna make it without that.
I want to ask, and of course, I'm opening, we open it up to the panel. Can you tell me, personally, what's your opinion on Herb's defense at this current stage? Like, do you think his defense is strong enough to pretty much justify
No,
his reputation?
no,
No.
no,
Okay.
no, no, no. Strong nose. No. Fuck no. Those kinds of nose. Like high quality nose. Because for for example, we played, and you know what? Because now I gotta pull this up, bro. Because they pissing me off to that point, right? So they talk about how great the defense is. It's like, bro, you seen Herb defensively, and it's like, well, I know when I saw them play Cleveland, Donovan Mitchell and James Harden decided it was time to come back and win. I think Herb Jones played that game, and both of those dudes balled out if I'm not mistaken. I remember watching them play the Knicks, and Herb was in the ISO with Jalen Brunson, and Jalen Brunson got anything he wanted. Cade ain't even play. Cade ain't even play. They ain't even have nobody to guard. You couldn't stop the nobodies, right? Toronto, bro. Houston, like, come no, Kawhi. Even if you won that game, Kawhi was looking incredible. Kawhi was looking incredible in those games. You don't stop Devin, but like you don't, and not to mention when we play the good teams. So like defensively, okay, even if you're gonna say he's not a stopper, right? Like even Dyson led the league, like was so good defensively with the steals and like creating, like was making game saving steals and stuff like that. You could count on one hand how many games Herb defensively has really like impacted a game, in my opinion. And I don't talking about like just like, oh, he played well. I'm talking literally he's supposed to be an impact defensive player. You literally can count on one hand, I think, like the amount of games you was like, man, Herb was really good defensively tonight. This shit is getting out of hand, man.
Let me ask you something. Do you think it could be a situation to where, because in my opinion, I view it like this. I don't think you necessarily stop anyone in the NBA anymore. I think guys are just too good, right? But at the same time, I feel like with you not being able to make them exert energy on the opposite end, like people just don't have to defend you whatsoever, you pretty much cripple the surrounding talent on the floor. And to me, I think it's less of a Herb Jones issue versus a coaching issue, like throwing that rotation out there. Because again, we've seen rotations with Zion, Queen, Herb, Fears, and Eve Misi, and it's like, yo, like, what did you hope to accomplish with this lineup? Same thing with DeJounte last night. There were lineups the way it was like DeJounte, Micah, her. It was just like weird non-shooting, offensively incapable lineups, and I just never really understood what they hope to accomplish with these non-shooting, non-scoring lineups. And to me, I think in the games Herb played last year, I didn't think Herb was very good last year, even with the games he played. I kind of spoke about this before. I just didn't see a guy who he just didn't look physically capable, man. And I'm sure the injury had something to do with that last year, but this year he
I'm
just
not
looks.
letting the injury slide, bro.
Oh
I'm
yeah,
like
yeah.
I
I'm,
didn't had
I'm
enough.
saying I'm saying like for this year, I'm just like he just looks slow. He just looks slow. He looks kind of physically weak. He's overpowered.
You know how they say, man, when teams get some film on you, you know what I mean? Like when teams get film on you, you might need some other stuff. Like all of a sudden, it's like, man, if we had a center, maybe Herb would be better defensively. If we had this, maybe Herb would be better defensively. It's like all of a sudden, everybody. Now, I'm not saying that the roster don't need help, and I'm not saying that those things won't matter. But like at the end of the day, you stand like, of course, if you had the perfect roster, everybody would fucking be better. But in this case, it's kind of like you ain't got that. You still can't guard your man. I watch, bro. I watch multiple. We let dog Kevin Porter Jr. was giving the business, giving the fucking blues to Herb Jones. And then when Kevin Porter Jr. didn't want it, they was passing it to what's the other dude? What's the
Rollins.
other Rollins? Oh, come on, let me get some of that Herb Jones action too. Passing him around back and forth, bro. And I'm not saying that those dudes can't get buckets, but it's just kind of like, well, what do you do? Like, what how like our defense is not good. The defense is not good. Like that's just kind of what it is. So again, either the coach don't know what he's doing, right? Either the coach is not coaching like well defensively, which is a thing. You don't have the proper roster to play, which is a thing. And also, he's a part of that. Like he's a part of that as well because the one things you so like certain things you supposed to be able to lean on, right? Herb Jones, and I hate that I'm doing this to Herb right now, but Herb Jones defensively is supposed to be one of the things that you can count on this team on the defensive end of the floor. I can't count on Herb defensively for nothing. If we say, man, listen, we need one stop, throw Herb Jones on him. Bro, you like if you that shit is a bucket. That shit is a bucket, bro. Like majority of the time. We can listen, he's switching off on people. Again, he don't call the turnovers. Remember those incredible blocks? He used the blocks on threes. I ain't seen that in I don't know how long. Like, so again, if offensively he gives you nothing, not only does he give you nothing offensively, he actually cripples you offensively while he's out there because it's 4-on-5 offensively. And then on the defensive end, like, and again, man, I keep saying this, just because you're like better than like fucking god awful, don't mean it's good. Like that's just kind of where I'm at. So like I can't give nobody if we're gonna be critical of everybody, we literally gotta be critical of everybody. Like having the best plus minus on this team where the team is awful don't mean shit. The team is awful. You on the court with some of the other players as well. And every time I watch you, and again, man, I posted it today. If you look at Herb numbers, 1 for 9, 3 for 10, 1 for 6, 2 for 7. The dude shoot less than one free throw a game, bro. Less than one free throw a game. He played 30 something minutes a night. Again, somebody said earlier, man, one of the things Herb Jones is really good at is attacking the rim. Attacking the fucking rim. Bro,
His
Trey Murphy is cutting like Trey. Herb is a really good cutter. When? I don't see his cuts result to nothing. He ain't finishing at the rim. He ain't getting no free throws. So what is his cutting actually doing for the offense? Like, man, get the fuck out of here with the Herb Jones stuff, bro. I'm sorry. I hate to have to do this to Herb, and I'm sorry to keep to constantly run his time. But like the past 2 years, even before the injury, he was awful. Then when he I'm sorry, not the year he made first team. That was his best season, right? That was his best season. But since then, what have you done for me lately? Be fucking awful.
and I was looking at the stats that you posted earlier. Make sure y'all give it a follow, man. It was saying, in Herb's last 15 games, he has 4 games under 20% field goal percentage, 8 games with making one or less 3-point field goal, and he has 10 games with zero free throw attempts. That's incredibly bad. That's incredibly bad. And again, we just kind of stating the data. I think people like to pick and choose with advanced data also because you could go in one instance. People say the plus minus is the worst stat in basketball, but when it kind of fits a talking point, people tend to utilize it. I also think I, I would probably bet some money that Herb is one of the most blocked players at the rim this season. Either the rim blocking them or the opposing players blocking them. He's He just hasn't had a good year, man. He hasn't had
Bro,
back to
bro,
back
I'm
good years.
I'm sorry to cut you off. I'm
All
sorry to
right.
cut you off. Herb has been, and people gonna post a stat, or maybe it's not. But look, if you watch the games, Herb has been as bad at the rim as Fizz. And Fizz is a 6 foot small guard. You get what I'm saying? Herb don't finish in trans. Like Herb used to have the Euro. That shit dead. Like you seen a Herb dunk it? Like when the last time you seen a Herb dunk? Man, come on, bro. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
I think
I'm
I know.
sorry.
I think he had a dunk. If it wasn't last game, it might have been game before last. He
Oh,
had
look
a.
at you pointing out a dunk.
But no, the crazy. But see, that's the crazy thing is like it's so infrequent. I can remember the one time it happened. That's the crazy part. That is like if it's not like a fast break situation, it's gonna be bad. Like to me, I just think generally, and I was kind of saying this, bro. I just don't think he was a very good player, and that's not necessarily an indictment on him. It is some people sometimes guys aren't able to punch above their weight, and I think
Son, son.
that,
So I'm sorry. I hate to keep doing this. I'm sorry. Apparently, Herb is the finishing piece on a championship team. If you fucking ask some people, you put Herb Jones is the missing piece for the Denver Nuggets, probably. If if you put Herb Jones on, well, if you put Herb on Boston, who's already probably they got a chance to win it anyway. Well, fuck yeah, Herb Jones will help. If you put Herb Jones, it's like, man, if you put Herb on OKC, it's like, well, fuck, duh. If you put Herb on Denver with Joker, man, I mean, Herb sure can help that team. It's like, bro, stop saying the most obvious shit. Like, man, if you know who could really use Herb Jones, Minnesota. It's like, well, fuck, duh. Teams that don't need you, if you can come and give them anything. You know what I mean? Like those teams are already like a player away, or not even a player away. They ain't a fucking Herb Jones away. They like we just need to make sure we handle our business. And of course, if this guy can do anything, it'll help. But like, come on, bro. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I want to interrupt again. I'm sorry.
yeah, I just think generally, man, and that was my issue with the Herb extension. It's just like a player like that, that's like a replacement level talent, in my opinion. Like I, you don't extend those guys to major contracts, in my opinion, unless you're already looking to contend or compete at a high level. Because is Herb really that much better than Bryce McGowan? Is he better than him at all? You know what I'm saying? It's probably like, nah, not really. Depends on what you prefer, and also I don't think Herb's defense is like all NBA level at this stage, personally, like the last couple of seasons. So I think now he's even more of a replacement level player. Herb should probably be on a minimum contract. Like just being honest, Herb should probably be on a minimum contract or some heavy incentive based non guaranteed contract. He's already overpaid. I want people to get all the money in the world. I just don't want them to get it on the Pelicans because the Pelicans suck. But he's already overpaid. So when you talk about paying a guy whose game, is starting to, deteriorate and whose money is on the incline, it's just a recipe for disaster. Truthfully, but go ahead.
So no, so the thing is, everybody's like, well, if you look at the team that Herb Jones is playing on, it's like, well, what is he supposed to look like? And it's like, well,
I think
bro,
I think that's a stupid talking point, bro. And this is why.
yeah, that
This is
like
why.
that exists for every player in the league.
This is why I think that's a stupid talking point, bro. There's never going to be a perfect situation, right? Like this just doesn't exist. Like there's never going to be. If you need perfect or ideal situations to succeed, that says more about your limitations versus everyone else. Because good play. Look, I used to use this analogy. Now, of course, we talk about Michael Jordan, so it's not fair. But Michael Jordan didn't become good when Phil Jackson got there. He was already a great fucking player. He was just losing to other great teams. It wasn't like when Phil really unlocked something with Michael. It was like, no, he was a phenomenal player. He didn't need a perfect set of circumstances. It like certain players, if you're good, if you're a quality player, you don't need a perfect set of circumstances to succeed. You might need some tutoring here or a piece there, a complimentary piece there to help put things over the top. It also helps that, like in Jordan's case, that some of his competition began to age out with the Isaiah Thomases, with the Larry Birds, with the Magic Johnson. It helped that some of those guys start to age out a bit. But when you talk about role players, they're role players. They're meant to be consistently rotated and upgraded and updated. Like, and I think that he needs. You don't compliment a player like Herb Jones, bro. Like in no disrespect, like
No,
it's like no disrespect to Eve Meesey. I'm not going out there saying, man, I just need to put somebody next to Eve to really showcase what he can do. No, that's not what you do with those kind of players. With those kind of players, you use them until they're not good no more, and then you upgrade them. That's just what happens. Like it's
bro,
unfair, but that's just what happens.
bro. Herb Jones was a second round pick that played really well and he excelled in what it was they asked him to do. No doubt about it. We talk about Derek Queen being an old rookie. Herb Jones was an old fucking rookie to begin with. Herb was old to be like, bro, Herb was old coming into the league. You literally maxed out the Herb Jones, like the Herb Jones second round draft pick. You got every bit of juice you could get out of Herb Jones. Herb at this point, respectfully, bro, respectfully, is on the decline. But you're not treating Herb Jones as if he's a role player. So don't mention Herb and like, well, he's a role player, but you're not treating that motherfucker like no role player. When you sitting there talking about starting Herb at the 5, you know what I mean? Or you're not willing to play certain lineups to, you know, I don't know if it's ego. I don't know what the situation is. But if you're not willing, like Sadiq Bey literally just outplayed him this season. Like that's what it boils down to. You couldn't justify benching Sadiq Bey and playing Herb Jones. But you weren't willing to sit Herb Jones on the bench. So don't tell me that Herb Jones is a role player when you're not willing to treat Herb Jones as such, especially when the numbers are declining every season. And if you watch him, he is not as good. I don't give a fuck what nobody says as far as the numbers go. His plus minus, it's like, bro, we're terrible. It's a 25 win team. Plus minus don't matter when everybody is bad. But even with that being the case, if you watch the games, he's awful. He's fucking awful. And like we talk about Derek Queen, granted, we give Derek Queen a lot of problems. But like for Herb Jones to just be skating by like he not just as bad is ridiculous. Like that's the part that's killing me. Like why the fuck Herb catching so much slack? I don't get it. Like I just don't. It just don't compute to me. And that translates over to the James Borrego shit. Like what dog? Oh y'all like literally, bro. You could say this team looks better than it did last year, but I'm willing to push back that this team was significantly healthier than they were last year. And like, say what you want about all the numbers, but these motherfuckers got less points, less assists. Hold on, wait, I had it fucking pulled up. I'm sorry. Hold on. Compared to last season, these motherfuckers have less points. Was it? Wait, hold on. Give me a second. Let me find it.
What's why
I
you
see
find
what's
what's up,
happening.
fella?
What's
Man,
happening,
what's
guys?
good with y'all, man?
What's good,
What's
brother?
good,
How you
IC?
doing, man?
Man, listen, bro. I was about to hit y'all earlier, bro, on the text, man. Said I need a therapy session, man. Like if it wasn't for y'all, bro, I might be like in some substance abuse program or in a psych ward somewhere, man, with a straight jacket on, man. I appreciate these outlets, bro, to hear y'all. And L, I hear it in your voice now, bro. You got you at what I've been at. Like I hear it. I hear that passion. I hear the frustration. But listen, bro, keep your head up, dog. Like, listen, expansion is coming, dog. 27-28 season. Like, we almost out of this abyss, man. You just gotta endure it a couple more seasons, and we gonna be all right, dog.
Listen, bro. I'm all in again. You know what? I'm with you, dog. Fucking nuke it. Nuke it, bro. I'm
Okay, okay. Now you
I'm
finally
with you.
came over to the dark side, huh?
I'm with you with the nuke it. I'm gonna tell you why. And again, Chaz, you know how I feel. I do feel like we got players that can be helpful, but or can be good to a degree. But again, what's the let's go back to y'all old saying, bro. What's the goal? What's the goal? To be how good? Unless you're going to get something significant, right? Unless you're going to get somebody significant, you're not going to be good enough to be better than bad, right? Like you're not going to be good enough to be better than bad. And like even if you have, let's say they have a phenomenal season. And Chaz, this is the point. What are we trying to accomplish? Like we want to be the seventh seed at one point during the season. It's like, yeah, say bro, at week two, when we 3-1, just so y'all know, the Pelicans that 3-1, the Pelicans are the number two seed in the West. Like those are the kind of things we looking to accomplish. Other than that, this shit ain't gonna work, bro. We can't even get off Herb Jones properly. Like people giving Herb Jones too much credibility. Ease Meesy, bro. Ease was untradeable. Like motherfuckers was like, you seen Ben Matherin immediately go to the Clippers and start getting 20 plus a game, and we didn't want to give that. We didn't want to give up Ease for that guy.
I
Darius Garland we couldn't bring in. Whoa, man, we don't want no fucking Darius Garland. Why would you bring in Darius Garland? I'm sorry, bro. Go ahead.
Nah, I understand, bro. Cause like like Ashley said, I've kind of I've been where you are before, and I'll say this. I in this particular instance, right? I wouldn't confuse what some of the fandom says versus what the organization plans on doing or have done. I'll say that, right? Because we really don't know what these people thinking. We really don't know. Even from the standpoint of Ben Mathurin, like I joke about some of the people who cover the team saying that they wouldn't want a guy like Ben Mathurin, but they'll champion someone like Jose Alvarado, who's like this motherfucker not even playing, dog. And when he was playing, it wasn't work playing. So for me, I'm more so talking about them because I personally I do know that the front office was interested, but I don't think Indiana was willing to move Ben Mathurin without at least something like really quality in return. And I think that's one of the reasons why that deal fell apart. But generally, as far as with nuking it, I just know that's not the path
That's
that they
not the
plan on
plan.
taking. So that's why I don't give it like too much credence. But I also think that just looking at things generally, it's like, eh, I think they could have won more games this year just based on the leads they lost in the first quarter. I think it's 19 if I'm not mistaken. Just watching the game, some of the this terrible rotation decisions, some of like the guys who realistically shouldn't have been playing significant minutes, man. Like I mean, we started DeAndre Jordan on purpose several times this season, and to his credit, he went out there and performed like a professional. But this man shouldn't be playing, let alone starting. You know what I'm saying? So
Say, bro, listen.
mhm.
If you had a guy, I'm sorry. I hate. I'm sorry, bro. I'm sorry to keep doing that, but they got me worked up. If you willing to bring in a guy that'll say, "Hey, bro, Herb Jones is a great seventh man," right? Like if you turn Herb Jones into a seventh man, then it's like, all right, your roster look a little different, right? If Sadiq Bey, and I'm not saying Sadiq can't be a starter for you, but if you bringing players like Herb and Sadiq Bey off your bench and you got quality starting ahead of them, then you look at something different. Like if your starting lineup is a lineup similar to like Ja, and I'm not just throwing Ja out there, but like Ja, a start Hartenstein, Z Trey, and a quality forward. A quality forward. And then off your bench, you might have Sadiq Bey, Herb Jones. Fucking if Jeremiah Fizz is like your eighth or ninth player or something like that, you might have a chance of looking like something. Like Misi being your 10th player. And I don't even think, I ain't gonna lie, bro. I'm out on Misi too. Respectfully, I know he have his moments and stuff like that, but I kind of told you that I kind of just want players that like you can count on them from game to game. Not like, oh, he got it this game, he might not have it this game. That motherfucker gonna rebound this game, he might get no. I don't like. You don't need players like that playing consistent minutes for you. And I understand you need to be able like Bryce, like respect, like Bryce have been relatively consistent with his minutes. You get what I'm saying? Like you can have Bryce as an eighth, ninth player on your team and it's okay. But like this shit is ridiculous, bro. And then like the and I understand Chaz your point of being like, well, I don't know if the ownership is or the front office is looking at it this way. They're probably not. But until otherwise, like the fandom just kind of being like, man, Herb Jones is just fucking. You seen this plus minus? There's no way in the world this guy's not a starter on this team. It's like, excuse me, the 25 win team or the 21 win team, like the 49 win team that blew 20 something leads, 20 something point leads in the fourth quarter, double digit leads or whatever it was. The team that was historically under 500 other than the one season. Like, come on, man, what are we doing? Like, even when the team was on the rise, right? And I'm not saying it was Herb Jones' fault, but unless you're willing to make players like Herb Jones, like unless you're willing to put them in the proper position, bro, like that's part of the reason that your ceiling is capped as well. Like if Herb Jones, who had never been able to shoot, regardless of what he was doing for you defensively, respectfully, if Herb Jones, who's never been a fucking offensive threat, is playing 30 to 35 minutes a night for you, you know what that means? Brandon Ingram, when he out there, that's another defender he got to see. That's another defender, Zaya. That's just less like utilization that you have on the court. So when you talk about like not maximizing, these motherfuckers ain't been maximizing for seasons. Why? Because you love Herb Jones defensively? That shit ain't doing nothing for you? I'm sorry. I'm sorry, bro.
I, you know, I don't think Herb, in my opinion, until recently, had a ton to do with the lack of maximizing. I'm just gonna be honest. I think because for this season, I don't know what Herb has been asked to do. Right, that's why I say that because maybe he's been asked to do some of these things like we saw in Birmingham, or you know, maybe he's being asked to shoot the ball more. My biggest criticism with him has mainly been his decision making and him going rogue and a lack of rebounding because you being such a low usage guy, it's like, well, fuck, at least you can do some rebounds. You know, you're not really a threat, so you gotta add something else. You gotta bring something else to the table if you're not going to be a scoring threat or you're not necessarily a defensive stopper. But I do think generally it's time to move on. I kind of viewed Herb as a luxury. Even a guy like Alex Caruso, who two-time champion, two-time All NBA. I'm sorry, All Defense guy with the Chicago Bulls. I mean, he was doing that with motherfucking Vucevic as his center. So I'm
Bro,
not, and I'm not,
I,
I'm not about to go out there and compliment, Herb. We need a center, yes, but I don't
listen,
think it would necessarily make a difference with Herb's perimeter defense. But you go ahead.
I'm willing to move off the Herb Jones. This is my only point about Herb. And you nailed it with Caruso. Caruso, even in LA. Now, granted, I get the roster. I get the roster and who they had. But in LA, Caruso was maximized off the bench. Even in Chicago, when he was starting and stuff like that, like if I'm not mistaken, didn't they bring him off the bench too? I think
Yeah,
he was starting
at some points he was coming off the bench.
at some point he was coming off the bench. In OKC, he's maximized how? Coming off the bench. So yes, I understand that on a better roster, right? On a better roster, yes, Herb Jones has incredible value. But we're putting so much, this is the problem. You're putting so much stock into Herb Jones as your starter. You're not even considering upgrading the position. That's the problem that I think they keep running into. It's like, okay, Herb Jones is our, one of our wings, as opposed to thinking, man, if we upgrade that position, bring Herb Jones off the bench, similarly to when they had Trey Murphy coming off the bench. It's like, bro, if you were starting Trey Murphy, put all of that offense out there, and then had Herb coming off the bench, it could look complete. You could be talking about something completely different. But that's just my point with her.
See, bro, in the not too distant past, man, I had made a tweet saying, with the emergence of Sadiq Bey, the Pels need to look at, coming off of her and getting value, and you would be surprised how many numbers that tweet did with people saying that I was crazy out my mind. But lo and behold, we here now. Like in the great words of my man Will Wade, I wasn't wrong. I was just early.
Yeah, bro. I mean, just because I don't want to feel like we piling on brother Herb because more it's not even about him. Herb, in my opinion, Herb could be anybody in this situation. It's just the player archetype. Like he could if this was fucking Tony Allen, it would be the same situation. At one time it was Andre Roberson. At one time it was Thabo Cephalosha. At one time it was Tony Allen, like we said before. It just in the NBA, you got what's his dude, Jeremy Sohan. It's very difficult. Damn, what's the dude name? But Stanley Johnson. Like, there's a ton of guys like that who suffers the same fate in the NBA. It's very difficult to survive and start as a non-creator, non-threat out there unless you got to be one of the greatest defenders of all time. We even see it down with Draymond Green, where it's like, yeah, you helped us get 4 rings, but you just can't do shit, can you? Like you can't do nothing no more. At a certain point, you could be the greatest shooter of all time. It's hard to coexist with players that are just total non-threats, man. But so hopefully they address that. They appear to have tried to address it a little bit with the Mathurin rumors and it's kind of probably good that this didn't come to fruition, but I had heard that there was some interest in Jay and Ivy prior to the trade deadline for something potentially involving Herb. Thankfully, that didn't come to fruition. But it's all about how you view it, because to me, what's more of an issue than Herb the player is Herb the contract. And I think that contract is such a bad contract. And that's something I was just kind of yelling since it was first announced. Like, I just, that's one of the things I really would have loved to be proven wrong about. But let's transition a bit to the coaching. So, of course, you got some names that were thrown out there earlier, and with Darvin Ham, Kevin Ollie. I don't know why people just. I feel like I don't know. I feel like I'm the only person that keeps saying y'all don't remember Mosley being being mentioned in this because I do think people are tending to, hang their hat on the Darvin Ham and Kevin Ollie report. But I'm sure there are going to be several candidates that we either haven't heard about yet or won't hear about until maybe after they hire who they're ultimately going to hire. But so, what do you guys make of I saw Scoot, he put out something today. Fletcher Mackel, he put out something today. Shout out to Fletcher for coming back down to reality, because Fletcher was one of those post All Star break people too. But shout out to Fletcher, man, for coming back down to reality and facing the facts. But what do you guys make of the recent reports about the rumored coaching connection to the Pelicans, and who would you have interest in? That's probably more of like a realistic target.
Firstly, and I know we destroyed Borrego a lot, but I'm gonna just do it one more time. Like just just one more time, bro. Like in 64 games, the dude is 23 and 41. Like right now, 23 and 41. Like he got a 9-game losing streak, multiple 5-game losing streak, 7-game losing streak. Like people talk about the numbers and like this is just so we could officially move off Borrego being the guy. And remember, I was a person who thought when when they brought him in, he should have had more opportunity to coach this team because I just didn't think that Willie Green was the answer. If you would have gave Borrego the opportunity maybe 2 seasons ago, then maybe we'll be in a different position. We'll probably still be ready to fire him right now. But this is where we at. At this point, he was 23 and 41, bro. The one season he had one winning season with Charlotte, 43 and 39, and that it took him 4 years to get to that point. So like he doesn't have no fucking history of winning. He don't have no history of making the playoffs. His offense, regard if you want to say, hey man, he's a good offensive coach. Well, says who? The offense don't produce no like it don't produce no W's. So like what are we talking about? It's no fucking no what's your boy name, man? This ain't no Dan Tony we talking about here. This ain't Don Nelson we
bro.
talking about here.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry to cut you off, but to me, the Borrego thing is like the perfect example of the emperor has no clothes. It's just a perfect example of the emperor has no clothes. Because one thing you can always tell if a coach was good by how the former team reminisces about said coach. No one in Charlotte is going to say that they miss Borrego. No one with the Knicks is saying, well, people with the Knicks right now are saying, man, we sure miss Tibbs. You know what I'm saying? People, when Missoula first got the job in Charlotte, people were like, how could they? We're gonna miss what's homie name? He in Houston now.
In Boston for Ime.
Yeah, we're gonna miss Ime Udoka. Like, or when people remember good coaches and good players fondly, but nobody ain't worried about no motherfucking Borrego. Like Orlando, when Borrego left, nobody was like, "Man, we sure miss Borrego." Like, no one cares. Like, this dude is a babysitter. He's there to teach your kids. Make sure give them some instant oatmeal. Make sure the motherfuckers don't burn the house down until the adults come in the room and teach them reading, writing, and arithmetic. This man is not here to do anything significant, and he's just one of those coaches, unfortunately. But I'm sorry, carry on.
Nah, so that's bro. That's all. That's all. I just wanted to officially just be like, you know what, bro? This shit can't be. This just can't be a thing, bro. Like, even if you compare last year's team, and that's what I was looking at. Last year's team to this year's team. Most like the things that you were supposed to do, they shot less threes this year. They had less twos this year. Like the rebounding, like all of the fucking numbers are not like just not better. So like even if you watch them and be like, man, they look better, it's like, yeah, they're healthier than they were last year. Zion played almost 60 games this year, bro. Like they're gonna look better. Trey was healthy most of the season. They're gonna look better. Like that's just like having players on the
It's
court.
like the
This
rising
fucking
tide.
team is
The
not better.
rising tide lifts all boats type of thing.
Yeah,
Now
man.
I
But
understand the lack of the 3-point shooting because I will say this, and this is not throwing Borrego Bell. This is just basing it on roster construction. Now the majority of this roster was indeed inherited. One of your volume shooters that you lost was C.J. McCollum, talking about a guy who was really getting a lot of shots up, and you replaced him with Jordan Poole, a guy who didn't play a lot of games for you this season. So
why though?
yeah, because the coaching, because the coaching decisions, and the fact that Jordan Poole was not having a good season, and also Brandon Ingram's gone. That's another guy who's had some shot creation, got up about 4 attempts a game in limited games, so he didn't play a lot. Brandon Boston's gone. So now you really just saying, Herb, we need you to shoot more. Sadiq, just fire away. You random guy, whoever you are, we need you to shoot more. Like, you kind of just counting on some guys who, Brent, dog, shout out to Bryce. I think it's a great story, but Bryce McGowan was not in the NBA. Like what I'm saying? He pretty much came off the street, and he's instantly like arguably better than one of your starters. That's a major roster construction problem. Again, Jordan Hawkins, totally unplayable this season. Totally unplayable. It's just that's why with the front office, I kind of say like, damn, man, you inherited a lot of shit to clean up, and it's unfortunate you got to fix the plane in the sky, but that's why you get paid the big bucks. So it's time to get to work. So I see, dog, out of some of the coaches that have been like linked to the Pelicans, just based on the names we have, like who do you potentially think would do the best job, and who would you like them to hire?
Man. Um. So I know we have this coach discussion quite a bit, man. But again, I'm of the mindset, man. I'm not really looking at. I know y'all take a lot of time and y'all really, look at coaching and Borrego. Until this roster is bad, bro, I don't care if they put they raise Red Auerbach from the dead, my nigga. Like this, they it's not gonna help this roster. And until that is fixed, I'm only concerned about the coach after they fix the
Well,
roster.
let's say this. That's a very good point you made. Let's just presuming, I'm gonna throw a name out there. Let's just say they add, let's say Goga Batadze, and they add two guys that can shoot 37% from the field. So, like, what roster do you think could maximize that? Let's say they Herb out the starting lineup, Goga Batase, and a guy that can shoot 37% from, I'm sorry, from behind the arc is inserted into that lineup, and you run everything else back hypothetically. What coach do you think could maximize that? And that's still not a great roster, but still good.
Yeah, I don't know. I think you should be looking. Not at none of these retread Darvin Ham type guys. You should be looking at in the Final Four, Elite Eight. One of these coaches who are innovative, maximize their guys who probably had just like a little bit of inferior talent but overplayed, and punched above their weight class. I look for like things like that, man. You should be looking for somebody who's analytically driven, somebody who's tough and stern. I think you should be really looking in the college ranks, especially given the amount of money that the Pelicans might allocate toward a coach. You're not going to get any of these top NBA guys. And the retread, man, they just they retreads, man. You need some fresh, innovative ideas and coaches in the helm right now for the Pelicans to kind of chart a different course.
And for Al, I'm sorry, go ahead. Al.
Oh no, no, you good. I had thought about this because I did the episode about like coaches and stuff like
Yeah,
that, man. I would be willing. I kind of agree with the idea of just kind of like I don't want the retread at all. So, but at the same time, I was like, if you're not going to be able to get a proven guy, and the only proven guy that I think, and I ain't saying he take this job, but the only proven guy I'd be willing with his resume specifically for this job would be Tom, right? Tom Thibodeau, and I don't think Tom Thibodeau takes this job, but he's the only coach in the NBA. Like people talk about Mike Malone, right? Mike Malone, even while he was with Denver, it took Mike Malone a couple years to get Denver turned around in the right direction, and that was with some great players playing, right? Tom Thibodeau, you've seen just take French,
he's
like
maximized
take
several rosters. Yeah.
yes, like he's the only person in the NBA that I think if you hired him next season, like he might run these motherfuckers into the ground. But I think he whatever, no matter what roster you gave him, I think it would be the best. Like I truly believe it would be the best version of himself. Aside from that, I do like the idea of like a Sam Cassell taking this job. If we go in college, bro, it'll never happen. But and this guy wouldn't leave. Though I'm going at I'd consider Dan Hurley. Like Dan
Yeah,
Hurley
me and
has
Ivan
got to the
spoke
point,
about that the other day.
bro. I said this when he was putting his name in the Lakers hat. Even if he was using it for to kind of talk about kind of
Like
swaying the
negotiation
contract.
leverage.
Yeah,
Yeah,
negotiations for UConn. Man, listen, if Dan Hurley would be willing, I'd bring that dude in. You see the winning, you see the dude being like the offense, you see the defense, you see the
Man,
mindset,
his
you see
offensive
the
sets are crazy.
oh my gosh, bro.
And then I think
Oh
it'll
my
work. My bad, I don't mean to cut you off, but I think it'll work because the Pelicans like don't really have a guy like LeBron and Luca. Like when he was approached with LA, like massive superstars. I think he could be like that college coach. He could really hold guys accountable, really get on guys. I think it'll be an ideal situation for him in a place like New Orleans with the roster that might be here next year.
I agree. And I think he would have I think a coach like that would have a better eye for the talent coming into the draft, which is one of the things that matter when like that's one of the benefits when you bring a guy in from college. Like he's still close enough to the college game that like he should have a really good look at, okay, this guy really should be able to play on the next level. And as much as UConn has talent, and they absolutely have some talented guys, but it's not like Stephon Castle was a top pick, Klingon was a top pick. But other than that, if you go back and look at like the kinds of players that he's winning with, it's not like he's getting the number one player in the country every year. That's not like Cooper Flag is going there.
If
And he's
him, the fact that he was able to win with Jordan Hawkins, this man walks on water, son. You can't tell
and
me this
listen,
man don't
and
walk on
Hawk in
water.
college was the dude. Like Hawk in college was the guy.
He was covered up, man. Stephon Castle and Klingon, like they covered a lot of his deficiencies, and that we starting to see that now.
But that's
Yeah,
what a great coach does. That's what a great coach does. Like you put your players in a position to be most successful as possible. So like I want somebody like that. Like another name I can't remember who Chaz, maybe you mentioned it when Draymond Green has been talking about Stackhouse. Maybe he deserves the opportunity to become a head coach. I would consider almost any of these coaches that have, long standing like reputations in the
yeah.
NBA. Been Go ahead.
I'm sorry to cut you off. Look, I'm not. I ain't no motherfucking reporter anyway. I'm just a regular nigga with a microphone. But I'm not reporting this. But I have been told that Stackhouse is someone that they do have in consideration. I've been told that by a person I trust that Stackhouse is a person that they have had in consideration. I was told that. Go ahead. And typically, I don't. Draymond say so much bullshit. I just it's hard for me to take anything Draymond say seriously. But I did hear that.
But
Yeah.
and I don't have anybody, I don't have no intimate sources, but wouldn't the North Carolina job be a little bit more appealing to someone like a Jerry Stackhouse than come in
One
take over
thousand
these lowly
percent.
Pelicans?
1,000%.
Look,
One thousand percent. You consider North Carolina.
one would think, but I guess what goes into it is the NBA is the show, for better, like it or not, for a lot of the brain like coaches and the most like strategic guys who just excel in college. Um, oh, shout out to former UConn champion Kevin Ollie, for example. But some guys, even like Coach K, you get caught up to the big leagues and you can't cut it. I do think there's something about guys who excelled in college, like college coaches, that want to prove that they can make it in the NBA, especially when you see guys like Udoka, who was like more of a role player type guy. Monty Williams went to a finals. Byron Scott went to a couple of finals. If I'm not mistaken, wasn't Stackhouse on that team with Byron? On that Nets roster, was Stackhouse on that roster, or was he
Uh,
or
I
was he
don't.
in
I don't
Dallas?
remember. I
But
don't
and then
remember.
we got a team he played for with Dallas. Dallas ultimately went on to win the championship. I do, and you have so much proximity to greatness. If you're Stackhouse, like I'm watching Steph, I played with Dirk. I'm watching some of these championship guys like Draymond, and I think the fact that Draymond did throw that out there is a bit of a marketing on the cool. I think
I,
that's a bit of marketing. But
I,
I wouldn't trust Draymond's opinion because I'm sure he'd say the same thing about Willie Green though.
well, I'll say this as far as Draymond feels like a loyal kind of guy, right? But at the same time, I think I don't think Draymond will throw somebody under the bus. But at the same time, I think Draymond also knows the game to a degree. You know what I mean? Like you can't you the style that Draymond
Oh,
grew up playing
absolutely,
in the
absolutely.
coaching and stuff like that. So like I think Draymond to a degree is like I would take his word for it on what they're seeing from Stackhouse in house. If you bring it in, it depending on what you're bringing in Stackhouse to do. Like I don't know enough about Stackhouse and like maybe his coaching philosophies and stuff like that to say what kind of guy he would be necessarily. But
Yo,
I Go ahead.
I'm sorry to cut you off. I just thought of what you and Ivy said. It's like, look, y'all both said that North Carolina might be more appetizing to Stackhouse, but why let him go to North Carolina when you can bring North Carolina to him? All you gotta do is go get John Morant. You already got Zion. You could build North Carolina here. The Carolinas could be here. And Stackhouse, he can have a couple hometown guys, and they could push the North Carolina line in New Orleans. I mean that's what I'm thinking. You know,
I, you can make it. You can listen. They to IC's point. To IC's point, if they were to make some kind of commitments, you could make the roster to a degree appealing enough to possibly be able to attract whatever coach you want. And a lot of people talking about the money and stuff like that. I think every front office gets, let's say, one big spin on a coach, maybe two, right? Maybe two. I think Griffin used his big spin on Stan and then, bailed on it a little too soon. I think this particular organization, like this organization, is gonna give Joe Dumars and Troy Weaver an opportunity to go. This is also the reason why I don't think Borrego comes back. But like I think they're gonna give them an opportunity to spend the money that they want to spend on whoever the fuck they want to go get. And with that being the case, I think you can make that attractive to whatever coach it is that you want. So,
does anybody know the Dan Hurley's current contract right now?
ooh, hold on, let me look it up.
Say that again.
Because do you, I know we talked about it the other night. Do you know Dan Hurley's current salary number per year right now?
Um, I think he was in a 5-year deal, close to 50 million. He's getting
6 year,
close to
50
10.
mil.
Yeah, 6 years.
It was 6 year for
Okay.
50 mil.
Okay. I think that might just about rule him out.
He
I
going into
think
year three of that though.
going into year three, I think the number because I think the Pelicans' maximum budget for head coach is about 5 million, and I say that now I'm not taking inflation into account, but I say that because that's about what Stan Van Gundy got, and for 5 million for a name brand. That's why I hate David Griffin so much, dog. Because it's one thing to say the organization is cheap, and it's like, yeah, it is. But it's like I gave this crackhead motherfucker my money. He smoked my TV up. Now I don't give nobody the money. Now I don't trust nobody. And so that's like the other end of the spectrum right there. But I do think the budget is going to be close to like 5 million.
So let
And
me let
with
me ask
go
you
ahead.
this. This the thing too about like the Stan situation though. Stan got 5 years and he hadn't coached in how long? You get what I'm saying? So like you you,
Yep.
you brought Stan you brought
Joe Dumars got a lead executive job, and he hadn't been in a team's office in how long?
exactly my
Yeah,
point.
he
And
was in the NBA office. Yeah.
he got took care of too. So I'm saying I think while I don't think they're gonna have uh I don't think they're gonna have a
Oh, I just thought of something.
go ahead.
What I just thought of is if I'm Joe Dumars, the sales pitch I can say is like, look, I kept you out the tax again. You're not in the tax. You don't really have any, you know, terrible contracts on your books. You know what I'm saying? You got rid of Willie. I think Willie was making like probably about like 4 and 5 million, if I'm not mistaken, as well.
Probably total.
Uh, yeah, probably. Well, no, I'm saying like per year. I mean, at this stage, I don't. I'm not. He's probably a lame. He was probably a
They
lame duck
say
coach
Willie
going into
was
the season.
contracted for no more than 2 mil a year, something like that. 1 to 2 mil a year. He was one of the cheapest, and they still hadn't announced
I,
his contract
I
extension
now
numbers.
see. I don't know, man, because I don't know. I heard a couple different things with what his current rate was when he got fired, because again, the extension was secret. So we never the numbers were never really made public. I just heard a couple different things, but none of this shit ever been confirmed. So I'm gonna have to see his check stub to be sure. But I think if the number is about 5 million and the expansion is supposed to happen as soon as year after next, you can go to the Gale and say, look, you need to open that coin purse because, like, we're about to get some extra expansion money anyway. So you about to get buku bread. So what's a little measly? That's pushing to 8 million. That's pushing to 9 million. You know what I'm saying? Let's win because we could potentially get a playoff gate. We could potentially do this. We could potentially do that. You know what I'm saying? Because
Think about this. JJ
mhm.
Redick, and I don't know if JJ's like the like newest head coach or whatever, but JJ Redick got 4 for 32. And now granted, that was to go to LA and coach LeBron and all of them. You know what I mean? But JJ got that with no experience or whatever. So like, let's see, Mike Brown got 10. Carlisle was at 11. Joe Mazzulla's at 11. Ime's at 11. So like, honestly, I think your number need to be somewhere like for what it is they thinking. I think your number need to be somewhere around because if you, for example, let's say you want Mosley, like what? Now, granted, if he get fired, it don't matter. But like, how much you think Mosley? How much you gonna have to pay somebody just to take this job?
I think with some of the guys, like because Mike Brown, if I'm not mistaken, he did go to a finals. I think he also was the guy who took over when Steve Kerr was injured. If was that Brown or was that
That was Mike Brown.
yeah, so he took over when Steve Kerr was injured. So Mike Brown got some finals appearances to his credit, you know what I'm saying? As like an acting head coach and an official head coach with LeBron and them. You got some of these guys, they got playoff victories, they got number one seeds, they got credentials. Even Mosley got a couple credentials. But I do think Mosley is probably pushing around, you know, 5 to 6 million. Like remember, Udoka as a rookie head coach went to the NBA Finals. So and at the time of their extensions, those things were still fresh in people's minds because he went to the finals, got fired, and then went to Houston, and Houston had a good year with their young guys. I, I would like to see them kind of expand, you know, a bit of their spending with the coaching staff, but it's all about if you're gonna hire a retread versus if you're gonna hire a young fresh mind. Because if you bring in a young fresh mind with some tactical skills, some strategies, some acumen, then you don't necessarily have to break the bank because the retreads is what's really gonna cost you.
Here's a question for you. Would you pay if Dan Hurley would come, but it was gonna cost you nine to 10 million? Would you pay 9 to 10 million to uproot Dan Hurley from UConn?
Yeah, yeah. I don't think that's a lot to ask for, honestly. I
Yeah,
mean, because
absolutely.
yeah,
Exactly.
because Dan Hurley's such a name brand college coach. I don't really think that's like at one time when every time Coach K was hinting at wanting to come to the NBA, the number was always something crazy being reported. Like, oh, he's going to demand this if he does make the jump. Um, but yeah, I would definitely pay him because he making about that in UConn. Like, you know what I'm saying? Cause so you can't really offer him, in my opinion, I don't think you could offer him significantly less than what he's making in UConn because he a king of a small town. Now, if you come to the NBA, he could become disgraced, especially like with the Pelicans. Like you've seen a lot of people come here and become disgraced coaches and executives.
Yeah, I would if it's me, man, I would to IC's point, I would take my swing at like maybe the coach from Arizona. You know what I mean? Maybe the coach for I would obviously take a swing at Dan Hurley, and I think your numbers again like for example, what is a Chris Quinn kind of number? I would imagine Chris Quinn's kind of number would be somewhere around I don't know, like to leave Miami, even though you ain't doing much in Miami, to leave Miami and fucking come to New Orleans, like bro, I need at least 7 or 8.
Oh no, I don't think Chris Quinn. If he keep his ass in Miami, let him fuck his
Yeah, you
head
better
up.
be grateful for a head coaching job.
I
Because
mean,
Chris Quinn not even regularly getting interviewed no more.
said, bro,
But
I
I,
just
I, I get your point as far as like the comfort situation in Miami
I'm just
and you
looking
with an
at
organization.
JJ. I'm just
Yeah.
thinking JJ Redick with no head coaching experience at
but
all
see,
got
that's
eight
the thing,
million to
bro.
go to LA.
LeBron hired JJ Redick though. Like them niggas was hosting a podcast together. So that's really like that's to me really what like put JJ hat in the ringer, what hat in the, even in the running because it's like you went from hosting a podcast with LeBron to coaching the team for LeBron. So it's like I don't know, like this is very nepotism driven, in my opinion, right? So and another thing too is like you're in LA, so $5 million in New Orleans ain't the same as $5 million in LA, because in LA you're gonna need about 10 million, once you think about the cost of living and things of that nature. So I do believe that that can also play a factor as well when you talk about like some of the numbers guys get.
So like here's an example. Jordan Ott in Phoenix, right? They say he makes about so it says somewhere I don't know why you can't get like actual numbers, man, from these dudes coaching contracts, but it say he makes somewhere between 3 to 6 million to coach the Suns as a brand new coach. So if that number is anywhere around like six with no experience, then it's kind of like, I don't know what his credentials are either.
When you say that, I think I'm sorry, because after you ask that question, I think it's racism because you're gonna put the niggas business out there. I can see everything a nigga making, like, oh, LeBron making how much? What the fuck? What does he do? Like, you know what I'm saying? Then you put a nigga business out there fast. I can't see what the other man is making. I can't see what this motherfucker Popovich making per year, or what Spoelstra got over here. But the brother business all out in the fucking streets. Breaking news: this nigga's rich. Like, wait a minute, what he getting? Why I gotta know that? What he getting?
I
But
think once
let's
you
move on.
I think once you
My
get to
bad.
certain points, you could get there. Like, Spo, he got the 15 mil. Once you Steve Kerr, like those numbers be released. But when you Jordan Knott and your boy from what's his name, Memphis that took that job, I don't think they release like your numbers. But Willie, I don't know. I guess that's a practice in the NBA. That shit weird.
Yeah, they need to do something about that. And I want to know what you spend your money on. You buying rims over there, Steve Kerr? What you got? You buying bling bling? What you doing with your money, Steve? The fuck? You got baby mamas? What you doing? What you be up to? But anyway, so like shout out to Steve Kerr though. I hope you're doing all right. But yeah, I do think they probably set the budget like if we account for inflation, let's say the budget is 6 million, like 6 to 7 million, right? Let's just say we're accounting for inflation. Um,
I think that's
and you
this.
got to hire a staff too, so you're gonna want a quality staff. And so now I think what we ultimately will end up having to do is start looking at assistants and scouts and trainers who got history working with Troy Weaver and them. You already got two in the building in Greg Monroe and Jody Meeks. They brought in one scout from Portland, I believe, that worked with that. Well, a developmental guy from Portland who they have a history of working with, who was in Detroit with them. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see. Like one thing I will say about this front office, bro, is that they keep their moves. Aside from the Derek Queen trade, they don't telegraph a ton of shit. Like they kind of keep their moves close to the chest. So it's really tough to know exactly how wide of a net they're like casting. Like what are you guys' thoughts like just based on if it had to be Ham, Ali, or Mosley, who would you want? And Ham, Ali, or Mosley. I'm leaving Stackhouse out just because I think we all would choose Stackhouse if those are the options. But out of those three, which of those three do you think would be best suited to coach the Pelicans?
Personally, um, I don't think Kevin Ollie ever had a job in the NBA, if I'm not
He
mistaken.
worked. He was with the Nets, and he became the Nets interim head coach. But
Hmm.
remember, he was with UConn. I think
Yeah,
they won a
UConn when they
championship.
won that championship.
Then this nigga was balling. So he won a championship, got a big contract, won that lawsuit after they fired him, and then went to the Nets.
Yeah, I would, to be honest, I would give up like, and a lot of people say, man, I wouldn't keep Borrego, but like, I mean, they if you were gonna hire any of them, I would keep Borrego. Personally, I take all three of them over Borrego. That's first. Secondly,
Mm.
I that's just me personally. Like
What do you base it at on? The fact that you've already seen Borrego for years?
partially that. Secondly, I remember, and say what you want about Darvin Ham, but like I remember when Darvin Ham, and we had this conversation before to a degree. Darvin Ham, while yes, you had LeBron and AD and stuff like that, but you did make it to a Western Conference Finals, man. Like you were with the Bucks when like Darvin Ham's name before he left to go take the LA job was one of the higher pro, like LeBron, like they wanted Darvin Ham. Like he was highly sought after when he first was leaving Milwaukee.
The Pelicans were rumored to be interested in Darvin Ham
Yes, bro.
when he would left the yeah.
Like
He
so
was always thought to be one of those guys.
no, and then he only was a like realistically, he only had 2 seasons in he had 2 seasons in LA. And while it wasn't great, it wasn't an ideal situation either with a fucking aging LeBron and and AD who still was in and out of the lineup and stuff like that. Now I'm not saying he would be a great coach, but like out of the three, I would probably I would rather all three over Borrego if I'm being honest. If Jamal Mosley, I from what I see against Jamal Mosley and what he's done in Orlando, like Orlando over the last what 3, 4 seasons he's been there, they've been better than us.
This is true.
They've been better than us, and I would say that the Eastern Conference is tougher to a degree for them to contend than it would be for us in the West. Like a lot of people say the West is tough, but I don't think the West is that strong. Kevin Ollie is a little bit more of a question mark for me. So if I had to go, I would say Jamal Mosley because he's still actively coaching right now, and I've seen Orlando like constantly be on the rise. No matter what you say, I know defensively they're always tough. um we might have arguments with what we feel they could do offensively and whatnot, but still, I've seen more strides from Orlando than what I've seen from Willie Green or Borrego since they've been there. And then, if I'm not mistaken, the last time James Borrego matched, like from even from a roster standpoint, is Orlando's roster just significantly better than yours? Like over the past couple years, I'm saying when you've been playing them, their roster hasn't been just dramatically
Um,
better.
I ain't gonna lie. I kind of think it has.
I wouldn't say dramatically, but it's noticeable. I think Orlando's roster is like slightly better than the Pelicans.
So let's go to the 49 win season when you had, it was still BI, CJ, JV, Larry, all like when everybody was here. You still couldn't fuck with them dudes anyway. Like none of these games were close. Paolo was still a very young player. I think Paolo was in what, like year 1, year 2, something like that. Franz had just started coming along. Jalen Suggs might have been a year 1, year 2 player. You was getting dominated by Jonathan Isaac. So like if I had to, from what I've seen, well, I know a lot of people giving pushback to Jamal Mosley, but like Jamal Mosley for Orlando has done a better job than like historically any of the Pelicans coaches. So it's the same thing when people frown up at players like Kyrie. It's like, why the fuck would we take a Kyrie Irving? And it's kind of like, how dare you frown up at Jamal Mosley? Respectfully. Also, well, since we kind of got a little second, um, I don't know necessarily about Kevin Ollie, uh, as far as like how he would translate to the NBA level. But I'd be willing to give Kevin Ollie an opportunity as well, just as kind of like a new head coach, just to see. But if I'm gonna give Kevin Ollie an opportunity, I'm calling Sam Cassell. I'd be willing to call Rondo. I'd be willing to see if CP3 wanted to coach. Like if I'm a hire Kevin Ollie, I damn near be willing to give almost anybody a coaching opportunity. And that's not the shade. Kevin Ollie or nothing like that, but you've seen Derek Fisher go from playing to directly coaching. You've seen Steve Nash go from playing to coaching. You've seen Jay Kidd go from playing to coaching. So, like, if a player like Rondo or Chris Paul wanted to consider coaching and be a coach for New Orleans, I would consider them as well.
Admittedly, I don't know a lot about Sam Cassell, but I know he's in Boston right now and he's striving. But that's a name that comes up quite a bit. Ivory, what's your opinion on Sam Cassell and some of the things you think he could bring to the table?
Man, that's a good question. It's hard to really evaluate coaches and assistant roles, man, because you don't know their assignments within the organization. You don't know how they really contribute to the team or to the coach, the head coach's decisions. So it's really difficult to say, man. So I don't have enough empirical evidence to give an informed take on that.
I had a thought too just now. You know who I would really consider as well, and I don't think they do it. I know we talking about like NBA coaches and but you know who I consider out of college as well? Ty Golden from Florida. I would
Yeah.
absolutely I would absolutely consider that guy. Like you might not be able to get Dan Hurley to leave,
Tell us about him. What you like about him, man?
bruh. So
Shoot a nerd.
again, he just really got to Florida. But if you look at the transition Florida made, obviously they won the championship a couple years ago. That's a tough defensive team. They might not have the same offense as it looked like for Dan Hurley. But if I'm projecting a guy and what he could look like on the next level, I think you could see a guy like Ty Golden kind of be willing to take a run because he took Florida. Not saying that Florida wasn't contending, but he kind of re-put Florida back on the map against like some of the top contending teams and stuff like that. Did they just get knocked out of the tournament? I know they had been a
Yeah.
yeah, they just got knocked, but he got deep tournament runs. If you watch his team, they're very well coached. I think he's really good with the X's and O's. I think he's good with the feel for the game things, timeouts, stuff like that. Always like again, and it's not to say that they don't have talent, but a lot of his teams are playing. It's not like he has the number one, rosters and whatnot as well. So like as I'm considering like a player, I'm sorry, a coach like Dan Hurley, another guy that I would consider if I'm looking at the college ranks that I think you would have a chance of getting. Well, I ain't gonna say a chance because he might not leave Florida for you, but another name I would mention would be Ty Golden. I like him a lot.
Man, Grant McCaslin at Texas Tech is someone I would also consider too. Like everywhere he's been, he's won and turned that program into an absolute powerhouse, and he's constantly moving up the ranks. Obviously, JT Toppin got hurt and went down this year and kind of hindered their chances. But I really think if Toppin stayed healthy, I think they would have been legit contenders to win a championship this year.
Yeah, so essentially, Chaz, like I know we talking about like names, and I don't think our front office is scouring for like any of these kinds of guys to be unfortunately. But if they do play it close to the vest, I just think those are the kinds of diamonds in the rough kind of guys. Like you have to take chances on stuff. Like nobody saw your boy from the coach for OKC right now, Mark
Oh yeah, yeah,
Dagnall.
yeah.
That was a guy that they kind of found early and developed. Your boy in
But he won
Utah.
like a D League championship.
But you get what I'm saying? That was somebody that they kind of like, okay, found,
Nurture.
developed,
Hmm.
gave an opportunity to, and said, okay, here we go. Like, so I think you need to look for somebody, especially if you possibly looking at some young players, you need to look at coaches that may not necessarily like you're not getting Mike Malone. I don't think you're getting a Mike Malone. So you need to look at guys that you can develop along with your program to become what it is that you see in the future. I think like a Ty Golden is that kind of a guy.
No, let me ask you this: what do you guys think about them potentially going with a retrade in the short term? Let's say about 2 3 year deal with a retread, just to see how things work out with this current iteration of the roster. And then if things don't work out, then they be like, all right, time to rip the band-aid off. and get a new coach. This shit is over. It's officially over now. But and I also want to say this. I know because I'm not a big retread guy myself, but I want to give some credit to Rick Carlisle. Taking that overachieving Pacers team to the finals. Got a championship with a Dallas team that overachieved. One would say. Then you got a guy like Thibodeau did his thing with the Knicks.
But
You know,
I don't look at Carlisle like a retread though, Chaz. Like I
well,
Carlisle definitely wasn't a retread in my
yeah, I
opinion.
think that
Carlisle
Luca
was great
situation
everywhere.
that Luca
what can
situation
my
is,
bad, my bad. Go ahead, my bad. Go
got
ahead.
him canned or whatever. And, I think Indiana was a team where he could transition to, but I just think it was a Luca Carlisle misfit, and obviously Nico kind
I
of,
got you. I got you.
what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But I don't think he's a retread.
Okay. Okay. Well, I guess you would more so classify Retread as a guy that more so failed at his last stop.
Yeah.
I got you. I got you. I got you. Well, shit. Then I guess. Yeah. I guess we could say Mike Malone wouldn't be one as
Now,
or like or would you
Depends
rather
on
say?
who you ask.
Oh
I
shit,
guess
you
that,
got
but I
one.
don't think Mike
Damn.
Malone would be considered a retread. You know who's a retread? Mike Brown is a fucking retread.
Yeah,
Nah,
Mike
yeah.
Brown.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
Mike Brown is a journeyman head coach for
Yeah.
real,
Like
for real.
Frank Vogel would be a retread. I don't want no
Yeah,
parts of Frank
D'Antoni was a
Vogel.
retread.
D'Antoni, yes.
yeah.
Like coaches like that, I don't want no parts of. Like even if you gonna say Darvin Ham, bruh, Darvin was a head coach for 2 seasons, and in his 2 seasons, regardless of what you say, he was relatively successful. Like he's a
Uh,
guy who deserves another opportunity, in my opinion. Shit,
also,
go ahead.
no, also we kind of got to take into account that there's a strong possibility that LeBron might have been a coach killer. Like LeBron, LeBron would get a nigga fired pretty
Yeah.
pretty quickly.
Hey,
What
bro.
do y'all think about the prospect? Because look, we want to talk about some of these young guys who could potentially be on the hot seat. Well, middle aged guys could potentially be on the hot seat. You got a guy like Ty Lue. We don't know what's gonna happen with them Clippers. Would y'all consider bringing Ty Lue in? How would y'all
I
feel if they
one
hired
thousand
him?
percent will bring in Ty Lue.
Okay.
So this is my thing. This is my thought about the coaching per se, because we're talking about retreads. I don't think this roster has beyond next trade deadline if you're not good,
Okay.
right? So I think if you get off to the start that they got off to this season, you blowing it up anyway. Like I think they just ship everybody out by next trade deadline and they go with the rebuild.
Wait,
The pro-
you need another like 4 5 months to see this? You need another?
I'm just based. Chaz already said what the plan is. They plan to make tools around the roster,
Whoa,
maybe
whoa,
and
whoa,
and
whoa, whoa. My bad. Hold up. I don't know if that's the plan per se. I'm saying more so like from from
sources say.
from what it appears to me, and from what they was trying to do, man. Cause shout out to my dog. I'm gonna have to say that though. I'm gonna have to ask if I can say this, but like they was trying to swing for the fences, like with
I would say this.
a couple times this year. They tried to swing for the fences.
I agree. So I think they're going to go into next season, right? And they're going to try to swing for the. I think they're going to try and see about Ja. I think they're going to try and see about Sabonis. I think they're going to like kick the tires on like you say, Joe Dumars is not young. I think they're gonna kick the tires on being good next season. Like they're gonna try that first. And then if they still suck, they're going to pivot and blow it up. So I don't think they're going into the offseason and being like, I'm trading everybody. Now, the one thing that I think could change that is let's say they lose every game the rest of the way. I think the final, you know what I mean? How sometimes like the your most recent memory is the thing that kind of sticks with you.
Mm-hmm.
If they lose every game the rest of the way, I think Georgia might go into the offseason and be like, you know what? I know they might have showed some moments, but nah, bro. Like this team are quitters. This team is like I think you could see them pivot, But I think
Mm.
as of right now, I don't know if that's the plan.
I think I kind of wish they would fire Borrego today, honestly, and I wish they would do it today, bro. Just not just because it's him, and I think he a snake, and I think he a backbiter. Not just because of that. I think because you need to give yourself more room for error. Now, again, we haven't really seen Troy Weaver all year. Troy Weaver's never even really been officially announced as the GM. For all we know, this nigga might end up not being the GM. He might hire a fucking GM for all we know, and he'll just end up being like the president or the vice president or what have you, right? But that don't, I've been told they've been scouting some guys. They've been busy. They've been sending guys out to scout people like Chris Annett and a couple other players. And I'm just hoping that some informal interviews are taking place. Remember, Elvin Gentry was hired during the NBA Finals. Like this nigga was hired during the NBA Finals for the Pelicans in the past. So we don't really know what they're doing. I just don't want them to wait till officially the off season to hire someone. Like I don't do that because that's how Joe Dumars was hired. I think they wasted a lot of valuable time. If you knew you was just going to anoint Joe Dumars with the job, you should have done that like a month before the offseason or something like that. That way he had more time to vet and hire certain people and kind of get
That's
certain
probably why he
transactions queued
felt
up.
forced into making some of the deals he made.
Chad,
It's possible.
may I ask why the Pelicans would be scouting a player that's projected to go in the first round?
Well, you know, according to rumors, they want to get back into that draft. They need more cheap labor. High performing cheap labor. I think you also take into account they might look at the situation like, well, fuck, when we got here, it was like this. We know worse than when we got here, aside from not having to pick, of course. And they probably like, well, look, if we can get back into the first round, we get another guy who could outplay his contract like Sadiq Bey did, like depending on how you feel about Carlo, like Bryce McGowan's guys of that nature. Maybe they be looking to shed one of those quote unquote core pieces to get back into the later round. And that's why I kept saying, I think the worst thing, bro, the worst thing that happened was the narrative that any of these guys are untradeable kind of picked up steam because I was never told that none of them was untradeable. What I was told that is like they just asking for a really good return, and if you're willing to meet that mark, they can be yours. Now you got some motherfuckers like Ant. They not trading Ant no matter what happens. They're not trading like somebody Wimby no matter what happens. Shea no matter what happens. I think if a person came to them with two unprotected first for Zion would be wherever they trade his ass at. Same thing with Trey. Same thing with Herb. Like I just think those offers wasn't pouring in like that, especially with a couple guys' performance this year. Zion, I guess he helped his situation. Trey pretty much stood pat in my opinion. I think Herb hurt his situation like dramatically in my opinion, but we'll see in the offseason. But I definitely think they look to dangle one of those guys and see if they could get back because I was told, and I don't know how true this is, but I trust the person that told me this for real, for real. I was told that man, they wanted a first for DeJounte. They was like, we're not just gonna give him away. We want a first for him. So clearly, after that draft night trade, they've been kind of holding their nuts on trading people. They like, nah, we're gonna try to get as much we can get, in a return. Same thing with Jose. Like they of course they're like, all right, we'll do you a favor sending you to New York, but we're not gonna send them to New York without getting, some seconds, even some fake seconds. And I think people, myself included, just assumed that you could get more for Jose when in reality his market was probably two fake seconds. Like it probably really was his market to be honest. Go ahead, Al.
Nah, I was just thinking about like the idea of like the moves and stuff like that. And I just was thinking the problem that uh you can't repeat the mistakes of the past, right? The problem that Griffin had when he first got here, instead of hiring the coach that he really wanted to hire, he gave he gave Gentry the extension and then fired him. right? And then you give Stan the 1 year and then you fire him. I think with them, what they when with Joe Dumars and Troy, whatever the plan is, you cannot hire a guy, regardless if it's a retread or whoever. You can't hire a guy under the assumption that you know hey, like you have to be aligned in your goal, whatever that goal is, and you got to push towards the goal. You can't hire a guy and say, okay, this is the coach that we're going to have if we're competing. They don't look a certain type of way, and then you immediately fire them in one season and then blow your opportunity. Well, you need to be that's why I don't think like hiring Borrego, like even like the thought of hiring Borrego is even a consideration because whoever you hire, right? You're not giving anybody a 1 year deal. You talking about no matter who you bring in, you probably talking about a 4 year deal. So they have to be on. They gotta be a coach that you think can be around regardless of if you're trying to compete or if you're trying to rebuild. So I'm just when we talk about like the retreads and stuff like that, I just feel like that fact probably eliminate some names if we think about it. Regardless, that's why I think a name like Jamal Mosley actually might be a good name because I think you just saw Jamal Mosley rebuild the team, and they have a team that's like kind of able to compete, and he's still, I think, a relatively good coach. So I think like names like that, that's why it sticks more.
Yeah, I think even with like Jamal Mosley, kind of what you saying, L. I think a guy like that was good for a time, and I think that Orlando team was just a team ready to take the next step. And sometimes, if you stick with a situation long enough, it can start to regress. And I think you're seeing a lot of signs of regression. On top of them having like two or three crazy injury seasons in a row,
Facts.
Suggs being out, Franz being out, Paulo being out, Mo Wagner being out. Them motherfuckers had a lot of injuries over the last couple seasons. When
And
it look, go ahead.
oh, my bad. But to be clear, like I don't think that this coach that they hire, unless they get incredibly lucky, I don't think this coach that they hire is the championship coach. I think this is the coach before the coach, right? Like unless you're willing to go and get one of the guys we talking about, like a Dan Hurley, Todd, or one of them, or like you invested in like a Sam. Unless you invested in somebody like that that is a complete unknown on this level, I don't think like with respect to Jamal Mosley, I don't think Jamal Mosley is a championship coach. I don't think Darvin Ham is a championship coach. Like champion. Well, I don't want to say no, but like you kind of can see like the ceiling of a guy, right? So unless you going complete unknown, I think they're letting you know about it. They'll let you know by the hire what the expectation is.
Yeah, I kind of agree as well. I think unless you build a roster that's just so like damn, this is a cold blooded ass roster. I do think Mosley may not be a coach that can fill those gaps to the point the way he puts you over the top, especially not in the West. I think it all, luck also has a lot to do with it. You know what I'm saying? Because if you're in the postseason and something happens to one of the main guys on the other team, you're like, wait a minute, nah, wait, bitch, shit done worked out. Let there be light. But
Let me ask
also,
you a question. Let me
go
ask
ahead,
you a
go ahead.
question. To your point, if they went all in on the roster,
Mm-hmm.
you think they waste going all in on a roster on a coach they don't believe in? Or
Hell
like,
no.
hell no. Like, people say
I
what they want about Indiana. You knew Carlisle was a championship coach. That's
Right,
why you make a move for Pascal at the time.
right.
Like, you
That's
you
why you
you
trade
have to.
Sabonis for Halliburton.
Exactly. You be like, all right, look, we can make those kind of moves because we know we can make roster moves and the guy is already in place
Right.
to get us over the hump. We've seen it done, or we believe that he can do it. I don't think that I don't even think they make those types of roster moves if they don't believe that like the coach is a guy that will like they might make like competent moves or decent moves. But we talking about like all in trying to win roster moves. I don't think they do that unless the coach is a unknown and he proves to be great, or um, they be like, fuck it, we gonna get a guy that we know can win.
I I really think, you know what I'm saying, and we're gonna start winding down here probably in like 5-10 minutes, but I really think that's really the question. It's like, are you looking for a return to competency, or are you looking for a return to like you just looking to be competitive night in night out, or are you looking to win and win big? Because now it's a two-headed snake. Now you got to tackle roster construction. You gotta tackle go and get a real coach, a quality coach, and you got to surround that coach with a decent staff. Like what I'm saying, you got to surround that coach with a decent staff. Let's say if you Joe Dumars and you like, look, I believe in the bones of this team. I feel like this team got good bones. I just feel like they never put it together just right, and I'm gonna put it together. And it's like I guess I gotta hear you out because you did inherit a very bad situation with several lottery players on the team not really panning out. You having some questions about one of your lottery picks not potentially not panning out after even though it's just a rookie year, but you having some questions about that guy. You don't have a pick to add, and you know what? Me and Al did this yesterday, man. We was kind of looking at some of the guys around pick 7 and pick 8, where the Pelicans are projected to be if things stand pat in the lottery. I ain't gonna lie. I still wouldn't trade the pick, but what do you make of some of those guys projected to be in that range? Because it's really just a lot of undersized point guards projected to be in the 7-8 range, 6-7-8 range. What do you make of that spot in the draft?
Um, man, I think there's a ton of value there. I think somebody like a Keaton Wagner, will probably be in that area. I really like the big from North Carolina, Henry Vassar. Shoot, the big from Arizona, Krivas. I think, man, there's some quality bigs that you can get in that area. That is areas that the Pelicans are absolutely lacking. So, I mean, there's some value there.
Oh shit, for sure, for sure. Cause I think I saw is it Nate Ament?
No,
Is that
man. Listen, he the next Derek Queen, man. If they draft him, man. It's
okay?
just
Cause like the reason it's a damn shame you a rookie and you already got a next. Oh yeah, he the next day. Like, god damn. But um I saw him and I was like, it was a 4. I'm like, look, bro, if you below 6'11" and you playing in the front court, like as a big, I'm out. I'm out at this stage because the West centers and front court players are just getting too big and strong at this point. If you're the Pelicans, you're starting to get to a point where you need a big bruiser type person to play down low, and hopefully they're able to bring one of those guys in the off season. So, all right, we're gonna do a quick rapid fire real quick. So start with Al. We're gonna end with Ivory. Let's say me and Al talked about this before, but 3 moves you making this season if you can't blow the team up. Al, you go.
Ja, aside from no coach, aside from the coach, right?
No, you can add the coach. So let's say 3 roster moves and a coach.
Realistic moves or dream moves?
Realistic.
Mm, Jamal Mosley, Ja Morant, Derek Lively.
Okay. Hey, that sounds like my shit. Ivy, what you got, homie?
oh, Peyton Watson.
Okay.
Um,
Ooh, we got a fire show coming up about that too. Ivy, you gonna have to join the show, brother. Well, go ahead. My bad.
yeah, probably uh AJ Mitchell
Okay.
and
That's homie from OKC, right?
yeah.
Okay.
Oh shoot, I think we need a big too. Mm, give me a second about this. I want to hear yours.
I'm gonna go with if I'm doing roster construction, I'm going to get John Morant. I'm signing Goga Batase, and I'm trying to work out a trade for Peyton Watson. I'm trying to work out a sign and trade for Peyton Watson. Trying to figure that out. Because with Denver's, they got Cam Johnson on the books, they got Christian Bond on the books. They don't have a lot of avenues to really, take back big money. I'm sorry to offer big money to Peyton Watson. Maybe they'll figure it out though, because the salary cap tricky. But with the salary cap also coming in $1 million less than originally projected, I think that's something you could be, that could potentially pay dividends. But yeah, and then got to take into account that the Pelicans probably got like one, maybe two roster spots at the most. So if I'm just doing free agency, then I'm trying to get Peyton Watson and Goga Batase, and I'm gonna try to via trade. I'm trying to go trade for John Morant, and I'm signing Mosley.
You know what else? Another thought I had, if I had to do this, three players that I would take, and I think it would make a difference.
What's that?
I would go get Sabonis, and I'd try and find a way to go get AJ Mitchell, because I had been talking about AJ too. AJ
Yeah,
Mitchell and light skinned Jalen Williams, dog.
that was funny. I still think the Sabonis thing is extremely possible. The only shitty part is you find yourself in a tough situation. Like, cause I think you could get away with a bonus and not having a rim defender, because the Kings did it one year. You got away with having JV, who's not a rim defender, and you could, there's guys you could find, you could put next to him in a pinch, and
I think Sabonis rebounds
yeah,
well enough to where you could survive.
yeah, that's kind of my position as well. I think his defensive rebounding offsets some of the issues, and him being his offense kind of goes without saying, right? Doesn't shoot the three a lot, but still he a beast on the boards. I do think that's a guy that you would go after and can potentially do something with, because I always say this: somebody got to be cheap. You either got to have a cheap center or a cheap point guard, relatively cheap. But somebody got to be cheap, and the Pelicans gonna have to find a way to kind of thread that needle.
I see. I got a question for you before
Yeah.
we go.
Mm-hmm.
If they traded for AJ Mitchell,
Mm-hmm.
who do you think have the better upside, AJ or Fizz? Like, what do you think they would do in that situation?
Um, I think Pierce would be a great six man, great backup. I just think, man, the world of AJ Mitchell. And I haven't done a ton of advanced analytics on him, but every time I see him play, man, he always making plays, man. Like he just. I mean, when J Dub was out, he got the bulk of the line share of being like a lead guard, handling the ball, scoring. Like he just would always impress me, man. Every time I saw him play. But to a couple other moves, a couple other players that when I was finishing my thought, I was trying to scour the league. I really like Quentin Grimes out of Philadelphia. I would look
That's
to
another good one. Another good one. Yeah.
trying to add him as a shooter, floor spacer, tough defender. And man, Minnesota got this backup that they drafted named Johan Berenger. And I really think he's gonna be in another year or two like an absolute problem.
Talking
Seven,
about the rookie?
yeah,
Yeah,
he's gonna
beast.
be a problem. So I would look to try and look to acquire him at up. I don't know if I don't know how Minnesota perceives him yet. I don't know what their plans are with Rudy. But if you could try and pry him away from Minnesota, I would absolutely be all in on doing that.
Mm. Okay. Okay.
Yeah,
I
that's
gotta look
Mr.
at
Eight
AJ
Blocks
Mitchell,
in
man.
the opening of the summer league. I remember him. He was shutting everything down at the paint.
Yeah,
Quentin Grimes seems like a Troy Weaver type guy. That's why, like, I know y'all been mentioning Peyton Watson for a minute. Those seem like Troy Weaver type guys, in my opinion. So it'll be interesting to see what they can do, man. Again, the Pelicans probably have a little under 15 million with that non-tax MLE. I know Bryce's contract is guaranteed, which is a little crazy to me, but I like to see Bryce back. I just don't like the idea that you guaranteed it a year ahead of time. So we'll see, but they definitely got to clear some roster spots, got to clear some salary, and hopefully they can put this thing together, man. But yo, Al, tell the people where they can find you, man. And you got something you're working on, brother. Tell the people they can find you as well.
Man,
man.
y'all. Oh, go ahead, I see. Go ahead.
Man, y'all can find me on all socials at Nola Legend, man. Not currently working on anything. Actually, I am. I'm getting ready for this draft, man. Not for the Pelicans, but just in general, man.
Right, right,
Just
right.
scouring, watching a lot of college basketball, seeing who may fall where. Getting really excited for this upcoming draft cycle.
For sure, for sure.
Yeah, man. And y'all can catch me on here, obviously, just A Davis. But if not, catch the show at Pels in a Blender on YouTube, man. Make sure y'all like and subscribe. Appreciate y'all.
For sure, man. Y'all already know I'm on here, Cheddar Chaz. You can find my YouTube channel. Same thing, Cheddar Chaz, CHEDDACHAZ. Same thing on Instagram, man. Y'all lock in. I appreciate y'all fellas for joining the conversation, man. We're gonna upload this joint on YouTube later. Y'all be safe. Have a blessed week, man. We'll catch y'all for the next game. We out. Peace.